One. What is up, everybody? And welcome back to Zachary Reality. It is Zachary Reality, and we are here to chat the Love Undercover finale with Abby. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so happy to have you. I loved meeting you a couple weeks ago at the party. We really vibed and clicked, and I was like, I didn't know what was to come.
I know it's so hard in those environments to not just like spill the tea. You're like, don't say anything. But it was
No,
so fun meeting you. That was so much fun.
but even if people do spill the tea, I'm always drunk at events, like not to expose myself. So I actually always forget.
I love that for you.
Yeah, but I literally tell people, I'm like, "Do not tell me, do not tell me." And they're like, "Wait, can I tell you this?" Just no, do not. I have to like
Don't.
force it. But with you, I did not know what was to come, and I must say, you gave us a pretty interesting finale.
Yeah, you thought? I thought.
I'm, I mean, between you and Marco, I was just really shook when he came out with this other girlfriend, and we're getting into it so quickly. But like, when
Yeah.
did he have time to find her?
I You're gonna hate me for this, but I'm gonna leave that to them to discuss.
Yeah,
But I have met her and she's lovely. So that's what I'll say on that part of it. But
yeah.
she's really great. So
Well, I feel like watching you guys, it was clear that there was this solid friendship. So maybe like if there wasn't, people would have expected you to be more mad that he had another girlfriend. Like, don't you think?
for sure. I think we had already established a friendship earlier on, and so I think he was coming to me more as like I really trust you as a friend, and I want to let you know about this girl I met. And so I was happy for him. Like regardless of what anyone says, I was very happy for him. He deserves literally the world. He's one of the most genuine, kind-hearted people I've ever met. Like changed my life forever. So I was just in that moment, I was so happy for him.
Yeah, I really loved that scene. I felt like you were being the bigger person. You were being so supportive. You were being like a good friend. And it was obvious that you guys had a friendship the whole time, I think. But like, was there ever a romantic connection?
Yeah. So when I first met him, it was in the big penthouse party where all the girls were there from groups one, two, and three. And really didn't know what to expect. I was really overwhelmed that night. There were so many girls. My group barely had time to talk to any of the guys when we came in.
Mm.
So we didn't really know them as well. I think group three was definitely at a little bit of a disadvantage because so many connections had already formed. But I was just sitting on the couch with a group of people and he came and sat next to me and we just started talking like we had known each other for years about nothing even crazy, just like our families and our favorite spots to vacation to. And I had never felt so comfortable in a first instant meeting someone, probably ever. And especially in that environment, you're like, this is really special. And I'm a type of person that I'm not going to waste anyone's time. If I didn't like see, and you hear me say it a few times, I do want to explore this because I did feel this like deep connection with him and I didn't want to just throw that out the door. So I say it a few times, but I definitely would not have stuck around if I didn't think there was like a little bit of like there was a chance that we could really make it a romantic
Yeah. I
relationship.
was even thinking about it and I was like, even if they are just friends, like they do have a really good connection and like we're here for like the show and the process. So like why wouldn't she go to Mexico? Why wouldn't she ride it out till the end? Like, maybe like I don't know how long you stayed in Mexico, but maybe like after a few days it probably would have been time to go home. But like I really was rooting for you to like do the whole thing, even though I didn't
Yeah.
think you guys would have like got married at the end of it.
Yeah, and honestly it worked out so perfectly and when we were in the house, like it was always just me and him in the corner like talking and playing cards and we always played sequence together and you don't not everything can be shown. It was really just our dates, but like in the house day to day, we were inseparable, like
Mm.
constantly. And so behind the scenes, I know our connection deeper than what everyone else saw, but it was so genuine and so close. And I wouldn't have, I don't know, there was no way I was going to say no to like see where he was from and get to know him even more, even if it was a deep friendship. Like, why, if you're friends with someone, don't you want to get to that like deep level with someone? So,
Yeah.
yeah, there was no way I was going to say no to that.
Can you talk to me about the decision to not introduce him to your family? You were the only one to do that, and I felt it was very interesting because you were really setting your boundaries and being like, it's just not gonna make sense. So what really, like, made that decision for you?
Yeah, a bit controversial online, I've read.
Mm,
I come from a very traditional family and I don't introduce just anyone to my family. if we had it at that point, it wasn't established yet that we were just friends. So I was really still exploring that. And I didn't feel right not knowing what direction it was going to go and bringing my family in to meet him. And then the next day, if it didn't work, turn around and be like, oh, well, you met my family, but I don't see anything with you. I really was just kind of still in that limbo phase. And I don't know, I just take that a little more seriously and didn't want to involve other people that didn't need to be involved. And I think he totally respected that and felt the same way. So again, we were on the same page the whole time. So it made it like I was so nervous to let him know that, but he received it really well. So that's kind of
Yeah,
why I decided it's just more of a serious thing, especially if since I was in limbo still about like what direction it was going to go.
that's fair. How did your family feel about that? Like watching it, would they have wanted to meet him? Would they have, do they, obviously, like you made the right decision, but would they have been open to going or did they not want to be on camera?
Oh my gosh, no, it's so funny. So I have two older brothers. They're so protective. My middle brother was going to come with his wife, who is my best friend, and
Hmm.
to this day, he gives me so much crap. He's like, I wanted to my 5 minutes on TV, Abby. I wanted my five, and he's just messing with me. But they totally would have loved to, and I think looking back, they would have loved to meet Marco, seeing like how it all ended. But obviously, they're like, we totally respect what your decision was, and you did the right thing in that moment. And they're proud of me for the way I handled myself for sure.
I'm proud of you, and I just met you. Okay, I love that.
Thank you.
Did you and Marco ever kiss and make out during the show?
Just at the truth or dare thing.
Okay, that is crazy though. Like that is how
Hmm.
it was just like it's interesting like dating someone, you're exploring a connection, you're really seeing what it is, and there's no like physical chemistry or
Yeah.
physical spark.
Oh, I thought he was so handsome. Like, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I thought he was so handsome, but you have to consider being in that environment too. And then me being just more of a reserved, like kind of person compared to a lot of the people there. I did not want to do that and like regret it or do that and lead him on. Or I just like got really in my head about that. And that had nothing to do with like my attraction level toward him. He's so good, like he's so handsome. And I didn't feel right doing that if it felt even the slightest bit like, let's just give it a try to see. I don't know. I just didn't feel right to
Yeah.
force anything.
How was that for you with the cameras there, being that you are more reserved and more calm, which I think is important to have people on the show with all different types of personalities. We don't want 10 Renees, but we need at least a couple, you know? So how
Ugh,
was that experience for you being on a reality show?
it's funny because I actually come from a sports broadcasting background. So I'm
Mm,
used to having a camera in my face, but you've probably heard it time and time again. Nothing really compares to that environment. And I had trouble adjusting at first. I definitely like was a more reserved, shy version of myself. And I do think I'm outgoing and I'm funny and I have this like personality that maybe didn't show 100%, but it is hard to adjust to that environment. So looking back, I'm like, man, I would have just gotten out of my shell a little bit more after doing
mm,
it once. But yeah, it was an adjustment period. But after a while, you kind of start just okay, don't look at them. Like, don't
yeah,
you kind of forget they're there? Yeah,
yeah, that's fair. I wanna talk about the
especially in
date.
Mexico.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was so awkward because there's, like everyone's looking at you guys.
It
Well,
was
all your
wild.
dates. I feel like all
It
your
was
dates specifically, like, were set up for everyone to recognize Marco, like, it was crazy.
it. I was so overwhelmed. Like it was insane every time we went in public.
Yeah, because you guys could have done other private dates, but they put you on 3 public dates, and it was just, like, crazy. So I wanna talk about Echo Park, which is
Yeah.
the first date that you guys went on, and I recognized you ended up doing the swans?
Oh my gosh. And you know what's so funny about this? I am terrified of birds. Like biggest fear in
Mm,
life, terrified of birds. And this is maybe controversial too. I've never been one to like really love getting flowers from my ex like or my boyfriends. I
mm.
go to a park that there are hundreds of huge birds everywhere. I get flowers and then I go on a big swan boat, a bird boat, and I'm like terrified of these birds in the lake. I'm trying to pay attention to like, okay, there's one on this sidewalk. I'm gonna dodge and dip this way. Like I was so in my head about the birds. But it was so fun. Like Marco made it fun and we had great conversation that whole time. We talked about our families and we really bonded over our grandpas on that
Mm.
date, which was really special. talked about sports and all sorts of things. But the people recognizing him, I was like, what? And you see me, I'm like, what is going on here? This is a lot.
Do you think that's we're definitely gonna get into it too, but do you think that's why he told you the secret earlier because of the dates you were going on?
I don't I don't know. I feel like I was definitely the closest to suspecting something, but I think at the point when he told me, we had such a deep connection at that point that the trust was just so much there that he like couldn't. I don't know. He just got to the point where he's like, I can't keep doing this when we're
Yeah.
this close. Um, but I think I was probably the closest to suspecting. People are like, how did you not know? I really did not know. Soccer did not cross my mind, even though the guy kicked him a soccer ball. I'm like, I'm such an idiot not realizing that. I just thought he maybe owned restaurants and bars all in Mexico, and he was like well known in the. I
Yeah.
don't know. I really didn't think much of it.
But you said you came from a sports background. So does it make sense? Like, did you know who any of these people were?
No, but
Okay.
I will say I like never really watched soccer. I just got into soccer like 2 years ago, and it's just the team here in Austin. So I never watched. It's not that big here in the United States. So if it was any other sport, I guarantee you I would have known in 2 seconds. But they did a good job with this show because I had no clue.
That's fair. Okay, the secret. So you had it, he told you, and right before the big blow up dinner, the dinner party from
Yes.
hell,
Oh my
how
gosh.
hard was it for you to keep the secret? And did you want to tell any of the girls? Like, did you feel like "Oh, this is so fun to know something that they don't? Like, what was kind of that like?
Oh, it was not hard at all for me to keep a secret. I One thing about me, I am loyal to a fault. I will always keep a secret. But people keep asking me like, "Why, did you not have a desire to?" I'm like, "No, this was so fun." Like, now I got to be in on this with Marco. It was a little special thing just between the 2 of us, and the best part was the guys didn't know I knew. So, I got to poke fun at them and be like, "Hey, tell me about, you know, your ad sales.
Ah,
Like, what was your, earnings last month?" Like, just giving crap, and they didn't know. So, I thought it was so fun. I had 0 desire to tell, and I felt so honored to be in on the secret.
Well, I kind of felt like as the show got like closer to the end, I was like, we got to start like doing something. Like I loved when Ryan whispered to I think Sophia Q and was like, make the category soccer teams.
Oh my
Like
gosh. Yeah.
I felt like it was really building up to that moment for the whole season. So it was just kind of like let's get a
And
move on it.
at that dinner table, I would put Marco on the spot in front of everyone. And then I was like, Marco, so at your restaurant in Mexico, at one of them, what's your favorite dish you serve? And oh, what's in that? And I was giving him crap in front of everyone. And I do remember really quick in that categories game, it was my turn and I picked construction equipment. And I go, Ryan, why don't you lead us off? And he goes,
Mhm.
screwdriver. And I was like, oh, out of everything that you built the Burj Khalifa, but you say this a screwdriver and not like some big heavy machinery. So it was
Mhm.
so fun for me to like kind of poke around.
Be
And when
like,
they were kicking,
yeah.
I don't know if you saw them kicking that pillow, the
Hmm.
circle pillow. I was like,
Yeah.
stop. There's breakable objects in here, but really, I'm like, y'all are really good at kicking this pillow up and down.
Yeah, yeah. How did you think it with that fight at that dinner party and Marco kind of stirred the pot and got blamed for it with the whole Jackie J and everything? What was your take and what was it like being there? Was there anything cut out for context?
Oh my gosh. When Marco was telling me the secret is when those girls were having that talk. So we walked in completely clueless. And
Mm,
poor Marco, he was just like, no, no, not me. What are you talking about? And I just think it totally got lost in translation. And it just spiraled. And when a bunch of girls, one thing comes up and then the one person exit on and then the next person
mhm,
exit on a little more. And it just became this like really big deal. But I remember Jackie J was sitting next to me and she kept looking at me and Marco. And I think at that time I was probably the closest to her. And I was like, why do you keep looking at me? I didn't do anything because I hate drama. Um,
mhm.
but I think it was pretty accurate how it happened. Like it needed to happen. The girls needed to air it out. Um, I thought I thought it was funny how hard she came for Jamie, and Jamie's like, "What are you talking about?" But I do think the whole Marco would never cause drama intentionally. So I think it was just a big miscommunication. But it
Yeah.
was intense.
Yeah, and I
You
think
see
a
my
lot of
whole
girls were
face the whole
just
time.
like
I'm like,
Yeah, and I think they were honestly maybe just all a little jealous of each other. Sebastian's hot. They all wanted to go to Spain, and like, I think sometimes they were just bored. It just girls being girls.
It was a boiling point for sure. It was like close to the end. We had been there for a while. Yeah, I think it needed to happen, but in the moment I'm like, "Oh my God." Just
Yeah,
I feel like the whole show I'm like this in the background. I'm like what is
yeah.
going on here?
Jamie was such a pot stirrer, and I loved it. I think it was so necessary. I think someone had to do it. What was it like living in the house with Jamie and all his shenanigans?
He is hilarious. Like, even watching it back, he is so funny, but he was always the one like, "Hey, you wanna go talk? Like, let me hear about what's going on with you." Like, he wanted to be in the center of everything, and
Mhm.
you know what? I appreciate him for it. He did a
Yeah.
great job, and it made it fun, even if it caused some drama every now and then. But man, he just had that pot stirred the whole
Mhm.
time, and he did not care to spill the beans.
No, not at all. With the finale last night, we saw all the couples. I don't know if you have any like hot takes on any of the situations or any of the breakups or anything, or maybe just like a fun moment for you to watch someone else's journey in that wasn't your own, just on the show when you saw them go to their countries.
It was so interesting, especially because I got to watch those girls from the first groups that weren't in my group.
Yeah.
Ooh, I Re Re Renee and Jamie, I just, like, knew that that's how it was gonna be, like, their love story. I'm team Renee, by the way. Just gonna put that in there. Um, they were all fun to watch, honestly. I mean, watching Brittany on the beach was difficult for me. I did not like watching that. That broke my heart for her. But
Yeah.
I think Ariana's just, like, one of the most amazing people I've ever met. All of the like, we were so close, so I don't know, it was fun to see them all, I don't know,
All
to
the
the end.
love stories come to a close. What did you think of
Yeah.
Sophia Q and Ryan, especially because there was that drama with Renee giving her the heads up, and it seemed like she kind of forgave him in that moment. It turns out they are not together anymore right now, but they
Mhm.
kind of left it off on the show that things might happen. What was it like watching that?
I was a little uncomfortable just knowing them. They're, like, so not drama people, so I think
Yeah.
you could kinda tell Sophia was like, "I guess I need to bring this up to him, but, like, I don't really want to," and then how his reaction was, like, I felt like it was just maybe uncomfortable is not the right word, but I just feel like they didn't want anything to do with it. Um, I thought they were really cute, honestly, and I'm sad it didn't work out between them, but I loved watching their story, and also how beautiful did she look the entire time she was there, like a
She
goddess.
she had really good outfits, and
Oh my
the
gosh, yeah.
more like the episodes, like especially with the finale with Sophia Q, like just seeing her arc and like her rise to like queen, like she is an amazing person. I also do agree. I don't think Ryan is drama either, so I wonder if this was fabricated to give them a little extra storyline, because I just kind of find
Yeah.
it a little some things I find there to be some holes in the story, considering that she forgave him so quickly after her best friend was like, leave that man.
Yeah, and I didn't know about any of this really until afterwards, so watching it was interesting, but I don't know, it just was very clear to me that they were both like, "We don't want anything to do with this," and if they trusted each other, that didn't happen, then good on them for just kind of, like, pushing it aside, but I did get the golf comment out of that conversation, so that made me laugh.
Yeah, yeah. It was really interesting how everyone's story and ending was so different. And it was also interesting how the WAG situation or experience was so different for every single person. So my big question is, Abby, can you be a WAG? Do you want to be a WAG? After what has this experience taught you about dating a professional athlete?
Ugh, I've dated professional athletes in the past.
Okay.
That used to be my type. I don't know. Here's what I'll say about that. I zero part of me is gonna sit here and say, "I want to be a wag." Like, no.
Yeah.
If I meet someone and he's amazing and it happens that he plays a professional sport, I'm not gonna run away from it if it's the right fit, but I'm not seeking out that lifestyle. Um, I was so overwhelmed when people were coming up to Marco that I was like, "How do people live this life?" So that would be an adjustment, but I wouldn't be opposed if it was the right person and it just happened that way, but I will 100% say I'm not seeking that out.
Yeah, it definitely seems like, that girl who gave Ariana and Renee advice, it seems like it's for a specific type of person that can really take on the travel, take on not being number one in the relationship, especially
And
during their career.
trust.
And
Trust.
trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear stories about those guys, they're not home all the time. I don't know. It has to be the right fit. So if you have that trust and close bond with someone, then you do you.
Yeah. What did you learn about yourself on the show? What did you learn about yourself watching it back and seeing yourself on camera? What was like one of your highs?
Honestly, getting out of my comfort zone is a very big deal for me. And I'm so proud of myself for going through with this and doing this whole thing. It's, to outsiders, people might just be like, oh, it's just fun, like whatever. It's hard. Like that whole thing was hard. And I'm really, really proud of myself for doing it, but also just how I carried myself the whole time. I think I was
Mm,
very true to myself. And that was the number one thing I went in with is you're going to be true to yourself. I learned that I walk really, really awkward when I'm nervous and uncomfortable. I like waddle with my arms like a foot out from my side. So we're going to work on that.
mhm.
Um, and I always look like a deer in headlights. So we're going to
Yeah.
work on that too. But
Well,
I
that's
do,
fun.
I do have more, there's more personality behind that wasn't shown. So hopefully people can see who I really am. And I don't know, I'm just proud of myself for doing it and how I handled myself. Yeah.
Well, anyone who listened to this podcast or watched it, I mean, I feel like we got a lot of Abby and a lot of clarity, and you answered all of my questions. I had burning questions. I DM'd you last night, and
I
thank you
know.
so much thank you for answering all of them and giving
Oh my
me
gosh.
context.
I told you, I'm like, I'll spill. What do you want to know?
Yeah, there we go.
But this was
For
great.
sure. Yeah. Where can everybody find you, follow you, and what else do you have coming on and coming up?
Oh, not much work. I'm so busy at work right now. It's like so crazy with this from this finale and all work still exists.
What do you
You
do for
can
work?
my I am in social media marketing for a property management company. So a lot of that
Fun.
going on. My handles are just Abby Kowal on everything. I posted a TikTok of me like watching my date in Echo Park last night, and I have hit the Marco fan base on TikTok. So
Ooh,
go join the comment section on my latest video because it is
ooh,
all Marco fans, which I love. But
that's
yeah, just
cool.
Abby Kowal and everything. So
Okay, I love it. Well, I will leave it down below. Everyone go follow Abby. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Thank you, Abby, for being here, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye.
bye. Thank you.